Welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action. From Marvel to DC, from Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to the Fast and the Furious, we will review theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. And this week we're reviewing Star Trek Strange New Worlds, episode 1 and 2, streaming now on it's a Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Dr. Rotten, and joining me tonight are the crew, starting off with Nurse Chapel. How you doing, Nurse Chapel? Vanessa, how you doing?
Excellent, doing excellent. Glad to throw on the uniform any chance I get.
Going full cosplay. Yeah, that was great.
You've aged very well, Nurse Chapel.
Yes.
The injections.
The surprise, the injections. All right. Also joining us is Comet and co-host of the Decades of Horror podcast, the one and only Chad Hunt. How you doing, sir?
I'm fantastic.
Fantastic. No, that doesn't work. Anyway, Where was I going that? I don't know. But let's welcome our special guest, the one and only Jeff Moore. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, and thank you so much for letting me in on this.
Yes, I have learned something that I've been told for years, and just now learned it. So, if when you say I'm slow, I'm slow.
Pay any attention, like you never pay attention to it.
No, never. Jeff Moore is we talk about Star Wars so much that we don't often get a chance to really dive into Star Trek. We just haven't done it. This is going to be our first dive into that. And Jeff, you are a huge fan of the Star Trek series, but maybe not so much the movies.
Yeah, the series I love. I absolutely love movies, of course, but I was in. I can remember being in 8th grade when the original series was on, and going to school, and that's what we all talked about, and including I had a couple of teachers that were big fans, and so they would talk about that the Monday after the episodes aired, that's what we talked about in class. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, I am not necessarily a Trekkie, but I love the original Star Trek series. Because I grew up, it was on reruns when I grew up. Sorry, Jeff, but it was everywhere. And Star Trek was just as big in the early 70s as it probably was in the 60s. It feels like, because you had all the merchandise that came out within the 70s. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. But I was a big fan, and I've never really followed the rest of the series too much. So I'm going to I'm not like you guys. You guys love the series. I do love the movies, especially the revamped movies that they had recently. But let's find out about the rest of the crew, shall we? Let's just go back this way. So, Nurse Chapel, you are a huge fan of Star Trek?
Oh, yes. Movies, series, I love it all. I even love the new ones. Like, the new ones get so much hate from, like, the Trekkie fans, but I think they were a lot of fun.
Okay. And Chad, sir,
like
what is your relationship with Star Trek?
I'm sort of in the same boat as you. I'm a big fan of the original series and some of the Next Generation, and the movies I really love, from the very first one to the newer ones. I love the movies a lot, but I never got into the other TV shows and stuff. And I'm not what you would call a Trekkie either. A lot of the stuff I have no idea about, the minutia of it. But I do love Star Trek. I do love that first series, the original series.
Man, so much. It's in our heads. Do you remember the Saturday morning cartoon?
Yes,
of
course I do.
All right, well, let's get into the present. What we're going to do is we're going to dive into the first and second episode and give our first impressions, and that will be spoiler free. Then we're going to dive into a discussion. We will get into some spoilers. We're going to do them both as one, and then we're going to wrap up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And we each have a choice to do it as the whole or break it up, whichever floats our boat, and then we'll pick a third scene, like I said. All right, so let's dive into the card. Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I keep wanting to call it Brave New Worlds, but that's entirely something else. 2022. Why does it say 2021? Because remember how slow I am? I'm that slow.
Yeah,
I looked at this 10 times and I saw 2022 and it says 20. Well, anyway, Paramount Plus. Episode 1 is Strange New Worlds. Episode 2 is Children of the Comet. Directed by Akiva Goldsman and Maja Vervelo. Nurse Chapel, do you have a comment on that?
It's probably Maya Vervillo.
You're absolutely right. Of course, it's written by Akiva Goldsmith and Alex Kurtzman, who is the showrunner, and then based on Star Trek, created by Gene Roddenberry. Cast includes Anson Mount, Ethan Peck, Jess Bush, Christina Chong, Melissa Navia, Babs. Help me out, Nurse Chapel.
That is a hard one. I'll give you that one. Ulsan Mokun, yeah.
Oh, you did such great. And then, of course, Roman. Synopsis: Captain Christopher Pike comes out of a self-imposed exile to rescue an officer gone missing during a secret mission. And an ancient alien relic thwarts the Enterprise crew from rerouting a comet on track to strike an inhabited planet. Welcome to Star Trek: The Train Wreck. No, that's just me. All right, let's get into this. Let's get into our first impressions. Let's start off with Nurse Chapel, shall we? What is your first impression of this new series?
I love it so much. We just got Paramount Plus because we dropped Netflix. Sorry, Netflix.
You dropped Netflix. Holy.
We were one of the ones that left. We dropped Netflix, so we went over to Paramount Plus, which I'm very happy with. And just as this Strange New World is starting, I'm obsessed with Anson Mount as Pike. He's doing a phenomenal job just from what I've seen already. The way that they've redesigned the uniforms, the ships, the atmosphere feels so right. It still has that feeling from the original series, but with the technology we have today, without losing the charm. It's incredible as they're on the ship and they're walking around. I'm looking at the ship, just thinking like, wow, this is what we've imagined in our heads when you hype it up. It's looked like the whole time, and it's just so much fun. And I love seeing younger versions of Uhura and Spock. The actor that's playing Spock is just doing such a great job, and we're seeing such a different side of him in his youth that I'm just really loving. And for me, big surprise was seeing Rebecca Romaine on here. I didn't expect that, and I really like seeing her in kind of more genre sci-fi, titles. I think she fits in really well with that. And some of the new actors that they've brought in too. It's just all around really well done, and I'm looking forward to watching it progress, and hopefully it lasts for a while.
Yes, they'll get to me here in a second. Let's get on to the more important people. All right, Jeff, not that you're not important. You're important, but I'm not. That's what I was trying to say. Jeff Mercer, as I fumble my words, what was your first impression of this new series?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I had a hiccup there. I'm pretty much in line with what Vanessa said. I love this. And I like we know Pike from the original series, and then he's in Discovery, and there's characters, they're using the same actor for Spock as they did in the Discovery series, and there's a lot of other callbacks. So I love these sort of callbacks to the other series and to 21st century life, so we open up with that first episode. Well, so that first impression, I just loved it. I loved it. I like the way the ship is it seems to be the command and control structure seems to be a little looser than it is on some of the other ones. And Pike he jokes around a lot, even with the aliens, shows up to give a planet saving speech and goes, "Hi." Take me to your leader, lines like that. So and then we get to see Uhura at the beginning of her career in
She's a
Starfleet,
cadet.
and
She's a cadet.
yeah, as a cadet, we get Nurse Chapel again. I don't know. I'm absolutely loving it. I thought both these episodes were really good.
Yes. Chad Hunt, sir, wearing his werewolf by night shirt.
Yes.
What is your first impression of this new series?
I love it. It's a really, really cool. It's almost a retro feel to it, but it's modern at the same time. The design of the ship is awesome. I love even how the engineering room where everyone gets beamed in and out sort of looks the same, but it looks more updated and different. Yeah, so there's a lot of familiarity to the old Enterprise that we're seeing, but it looks different. And yeah, and I loved the characters in here, like Jeff said, Uhura, seeing her in her early on, and Spock and everybody like that is just really, really nice. And it really does have that old feel of the original series to me. But they're able to expand on it a lot with the special effects and stuff like that. That just makes it. I'm really, really interested in watching this week after week now. So.
Yeah, I am too. I really love the tone and feel of this. It feels like the original series, and I am enjoying that so much. More so than I've tried various other Star Trek shows, and that's the element for me personally that those have been missing, and they were purposely steering away from that because it was a different time, right? So
yeah,
you couldn't do that then. It was a little bit corny or campy, but this loses the camp, but it still has the tongue-in-cheek feel to it, like some of the dialogue, like you said.
Yeah.
And of course, watching probably every Star Trek episode multiple times, we definitely know what happens to Pike, because that was one of those weird ones. Like when I was a kid watching, I was like, "What's going on with these episodes? These two episodes are so weird." So this guy somehow embodies what I remember from that character, right? Just the feel. He kind of, and he knows about it, which is interesting. So, we know about it now. He knows about it, so we don't have to worry about that, right? So, but that's kind of the some of the plot that goes through each episode. I really enjoy this, and even though they have new special effects, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, they still do the fun. Oh no!
Yeah.
The best thing ever. So I am very much a Star Wars fan over top of Star Trek, but I will be watching this Star Trek series. This one has won me over. I love the cast. I love this Spock. I love this Spock as much as I love the other two Spocks, and I really do like the other two Spocks. And the Cadet Uhura is fantastic, and there is a Kirk on board here, but that's not his father.
I think it's his brother, I would assume, but
is it his brother? Yeah. I was wondering if it was a relative or not. I don't know, but he's almost a red shirt in this. It's so funny. He almost goes out on the second. But I mean, the first two episodes, the first one establishes where we are and brings everybody together with this rescue mission, and establishes the 10-year adventure that Pike is going to begin on the Enterprise. And then the second one really goes centric with Uhura and really establishes her character, gives us a background, and makes her a truly wonderful character, more so than we already love her, right, because of the history. But this, I don't know. I don't know if we've ever gotten this much information about her, have we?
No, I don't think so.
No. I think she's saying on one of the original Star Treks.
Well, she was always a linguist, right?
Yeah.
And she was, and she knew all the languages, and that, establishes is very important in her storyline here, which I really love. But let's start off with the first one, Nurse Chapel. Vanessa, you're killing me. What stood out about the first episode for you? Is it the actors, or is it the tone? Is it something in the story that really caught your attention?
The fact that they really went there with Pike, him knowing exactly he was going to end up in a weird box all burnt up, that is a weird thing from the original series, right? And so then you have this extraordinarily charismatic person. He's smart, he's handsome, he's the captain of the ship, and you know how it's going to end. And they managed to, in the first episode, work that in such a good way. He's dealing with so much trauma and so much stress, and it really develops the relationship between him and Spock during this. And the way that they kind of bring it full circle and him coming to accept this knowledge that he has, I really was surprised that we got that in the first episode. I really expected it to be just a lot more light and fun, and kind of like the B story, I guess, of what's going on in this episode. But I'm really glad they did that and addressed that, and because I'm sure people would be wondering that, because if you know about Pike, then it doesn't end well for him.
No, it doesn't. I was surprised how much Pike felt like Captain Kirk, James T. Kirk, but didn't. I mean, he isn't. He's still his own person, but it has that same
swagger.
Same swagger. Great way to put it.
You can definitely see the influence that he had on Kirk and his attitude. I picked up on that a lot, that swagger that he has. And you kind of see that when we see him in the movies, the remakes that they did. You kind of get a little bit of that too, that he was capable of that, even though he's a little bit more hard at that point. So between what they did with Pike and his character and developing that his life, all the women, I was so excited to see Uhura, to see Nurse Chapel, to see all these other women on the ship with him in such unexpected roles. And I can't remember her name at the moment, but the Hispanic
Ortega.
Yes, Ortega's. She's hilarious. I loved her so much. She's a great addition to this cast.
Yep, and she proves she's a good pilot, right, Jeff?
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. I love how she has her own evasive maneuvers.
Yes.
The Ortega's Omega 1. Anyway, I just keep thinking, repeating what Vanessa was saying, but there's so many tie-ins to the first one, like, the original pilot, and then what they made of the 2-episode version of it has Majel Barrett as number 1 in that first pilot for Captain Pike. So in here it was I would have said it was Rebecca Roman, but it might have been.
Yeah, she was number 1.
Yeah, she's number 1 in the second episode.
Yeah. So it just, I don't know, so many things. I loved how it starts off where, he's this woolly bearded guy in Montana, and he's making breakfast, and on the TV in the background is what's the name of that world? The Day the Earth Stood Still.
That's right.
With Michael Reddy. So it just, I don't know. I just love stuff like that. Later on, they're talking about how the new number 1, and she calls herself Laan Noonien Singh, Christina Chong.
Yeah.
And then she becomes in the second episode, she becomes the head of security. She's talking to Pike about how she and what is Rebecca? Una Chin Riley is her name, number 1. They're 2 number 1, so I'm getting them confused. But how they met, and they're talking about on the King Jr., and I'm going, oh shit, they had a starship named after Martin Luther King. It had to be King Jr., didn't it?
Yeah, wow.
You would assume, right? Yeah.
I mean, I was just thinking, King Jr., boy, they're acting like I should know what that is. And then I thought, oh, shoot, I probably do.
That's coming right in my head. Wow, that's
like
cool.
We have ships named after presidents from 250 50 years ago, So I
Star
I
Trek
loved
is
it.
want to do that.
Yeah.
They do reference back to our history a lot, which I find interesting.
Yeah, the music, if nothing else, right?
Mhm.
Chad, go ahead.
Well, you mentioned the music because I thought it starts off in the first episode with the original music, but then it goes to kind of its own version of that music, which is really cool. It's still you can still tell it has that original in there. And then at the end of the episode, when somebody goes, "What's our mission?" and he reels off the standard thing.
Yes,
I got goosebumps. I'm sorry, I got goosebumps.
That's cool.
What is Uhura says? Cool.
Yeah. We all felt that.
I think
Yes.
so. I think even I did. Yeah. But Chad, you surprised me because you mentioned something that I don't know why I didn't know from the onset, but Anson Mount, I should have recognized this guy.
Yeah.
Because he played somebody in the MCU who was kind of not MCU until this past week. Who does he play?
Oh, he's played Black Bolt in the much maligned Inhumans TV show and in the new Doctor Strange film. And I've been following him for a long time, since Hell on Wheels. He was on a show called
Hell on Wheels.
Hell on Wheels. It was a sort of a Western on AMC that was really, really good. And I've been following anything he does ever since. But he just made the perfect Black Bolt to me because he looks like him. He looks like him.
I'm sorry, and that show, Cole Meany was in that show too, who was the chief in
Hell
Next
on
Generation.
Wheels? Yeah,
Wasn't he the chief,
he was in
the
Next
engineer?
Gen, and he was in Deep Space Nine.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
yes.
Wow. Yeah, so that blew my mind, and oh my God, he is so good in this, isn't he, Chad?
Yeah, he is. I love how when Star Trek sort of plays dichotomy with him riding that horse through the snow in Montana, and then it's like, come on, we got to go into space, and he's like, okay, and then the next thing you see, he's shaved and they're in space and off to rescue Rebecca.
Still got a little bit of a quaff going on.
Yeah. I just love that kind of stuff. J.J. Abrams
got the hair.
did a little bit of that in the movies with Kirk. Some Earth time stuff. I just thought that stuff like that is great to me.
Yeah, it felt very reminiscent of that, actually.
Yeah,
I was thinking that. Yeah. Now, Jeff, you, I think you're the only one that watched the show before this Discovery. Is that right? Is that
the show? What?
Discovery? Is it Discovery?
I watched the first 2 seasons, so yeah, I saw the parts that had him in it.
Okay, that's what I'm fishing for. So Pike and Spock appear in those episodes, right? And then is this supposed to be an extension of that show? I guess.
Yeah. So he if the timeline is, I believe that Discovery takes place 10 years before the Kirk Enterprise era, and it's only in that century for a couple of years, and then it leaps forward into like the 39th century, 39.
Oh, weird.
So anyway, but Pike has to go down on the planet. So Michael Burnham is the lead character, and I forget her name, Sonia. She was in
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Yeah, she is Spock's adopted sister.
Oh.
And Pike's the captain of the Enterprise when she gets, or with the ship that she gets on, and she's destined for some bigger things, and he has to go get these time crystals off this planet that has a Klingon monastery. It's like the most sacred place in the Klingon universe. And because he's getting those time crystals, that's where like his penance, or sort of his trade on that, was that he sees his own death. And supposedly it can't be changed. The guy told him it couldn't be changed. But if they're talking about the event we think they're talking about, he didn't die. He ended up in that electronic wheelchair, and then he ends up on the planet Tau. And they have those people in it too.
Yep.
That's on Discovery. And the girl that he ends up with, God, what was her name? Susan Oliver, the blonde. he goes to this planet where they can
There's a lot of people
have
know
him
what you're
live-
talking about, but not me.
well,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
if you saw the original Star Trek show, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I do know that. I do remember those guys. All right,
But she's on the Discovery as well. So
okay. Well, cool. I might actually brave.
The other
That's
character
right.
that I'm really interested in
Mhm.
learning about is what is it? Alan Noonien Singh or Ayan, something like that. I can't remember the exact name they called her, but that was Khan's name, Khan Noonien Singh. So I'm wondering if she's one of the.
oh,
You
know what?
Okay.
I didn't
Yeah.
even pick up on that.
Oh, wow.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering if she's
that
one
was-
of the augmented,
Dang.
like Khan was.
Oh, what?
And how that
they
affects-
also
Interesting.
mentioned when she was talking about meeting up with number one, or haven't seen her before, she's talking about the Gorn, which is also in
Yeah.
the first.
Yeah.
So and also when he gets the message about what their mission is going to be, it says something about species unknown : Gorn, and I'm like,
Yeah, I saw that.
I was looking for some lizard heads there, but
I
they
think
often
I
change.
think
They
we
often
came
change
close.
what the aliens look
Getting
like.
close. Getting close.
Came
Oh,
close
man.
with the space shepherd guys.
Oh man,
Well, those
you
guys,
just
yeah.
you just blew my mind, Chad, with the Khan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna.
God.
I'm sure they didn't just name her that to name her.
No,
I'm sure it's
no
gonna have
way.
some play in.
Not
That's
like,
gonna
well,
come
yeah,
around.
It's not like just naming it Smith. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
I do want to ask Nurse Chapel one thing before we wrap up. And in the first episode, we get a little hint of is it a romance between Spock and this young Vulcan lady?
Oh, that's
The woman he's gonna marry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
one he marries in the original one. They have to go and they have that ceremony.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, their Vulcan ceremony.
She doesn't want to marry him, I think, in the end, right? Isn't that in the original series?
I think that's what happens, and I imagine that the feeling that I'm getting is that this one's gonna lead towards that too.
And they had that battle where he and Kirk had to fight each other in the Vulcan ring.
Mhm.
No, man.
Mhm.
I did not put all that together. That is so wild. Okay.
Yeah, I liked seeing that though. I liked seeing the proposal and them being very coy and shy in their own Vulcan way.
And he's so awkward. I love
I
it.
know. I love him.
Query.
Yeah, query.
Query.
Query gets that's like, oh man, sound like me talking to Cold Fusion. The or sequel. The you guys have no idea. The in the second episode, he's trying to learn how to give pep talks.
Failing miserably.
And failing miserably. It's so wonderful and so dry humor. I really love it. Yeah. All right, let's get into this and give our final thoughts. Our score 1 to 5, and like I said, you can do it as a whole or you can break it up, and your favorite scene, and the same thing. And Nurse Chapel, you are up first.
Oh, me first. I can tell you score right off the bat for the whole thing is a 5.
Nice.
I am loving this. Yeah, you have to be pretty bad for me to not like it, and this is pretty great. So how could I not? Just for the start off too. So much fun. I'm loving it. I'm loving the casting. I'm loving the characters that we've gotten. I love the shenanigans. It's so Star Trek to me. Yeah, it's so Star Trek to me. I can't wait to see more. It's just I love seeing the ship like this. It just brings back such great memories, but also it's like refreshes them, it's like just refreshed all the cool old memories. And I kind of like, you were saying, or we were saying earlier, how some of it feels like the newer movies in certain aspects. And I really like that they've done that they kind of have integrated into that, because that the new movies are a real hot topic with some of the Trekkies. And it's a way of kind of softening that, I think, and just folding in what J.J. Abrams did in those movies into the lore and the universe. And I really appreciate that. And I enjoy seeing it because I liked those and I like how he did that. My favorite scene. I kind of like when he dropped in on the aliens and was like, "Hi," and he's just basically told them, "Listen, you're gonna listen to me. This is what you got to do, whether you like it or not."
Yes.
It's this classic Star Trek. I would say Kirk, but it's Pike. And we're seeing where Kirk got all this Kirkness from. But I love seeing Pike do that and do things like that, and it's just fun. Just Star Trek fun the whole time.
Star Trek fun, absolutely. Jeff Moore, I'm going to put you up next. Your final thoughts, your score, your favorite scene.
Oh, there's so many things about this I like, and I'm kind of like, I heard some people dissing on Discovery when it came on, and I don't pay that much attention to follow the like, I don't know, Trekkie universe. I just watch the series and really like them. And I mean, it was a big deal when I worked at the bookstore. It was a big deal to have when the new Star Trek novel came out, and they had series in the original and the next gens and Deep Space Nine, and from this is a pretty big phenomenon, because from the first series didn't last that long,
3 years,
but
right?
from 1987 to 2005, so what's that, 18 years, there was always at least one Star Trek series on. And it took them a long time to get around to the first movie, but when they did, they started kicking them out. So anyway, it's just so cool for me, because this was like one of those things when I was a kid that I just went, this is, back in the day when you had 3 television channels. So I liked how the opening sequence shows the lights coming on, showing the like portals in the different decks. I don't know if you watched that sequence. I just really liked that. There was what else did I see? Oh, on the one space station when they're there, there's domes in there that took me back to Silent Running, domes with forests on it that they
Silent Running,
jettisoned
wow.
from Earth. All the little sayings he has that get repeated throughout the show. So I was trying to think what was the main one that he did in the first one. But in the first episode, he kind of keeps talking about how you never think you're going to die until you do, or something like that, right? He had that one line, which I'm going to remember: when 2 elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. I thought that was a great.
Oh, that is a great line.
Great line. I don't know. In the second one, it's sometimes things go so badly you just have to laugh. And I know it comes back, and at a great point, it comes back towards the end of the episode.
And you knew it was. You knew it was going to.
Yeah. Especially when you hear something that's totally uncharacteristic for a character, and then you go, "Oh, what?" Anyway, I loved almost everything about it. I did notice they went to the shepherd in the second episode is CGI'd, right? I mean,
yeah,
that wasn't. And Star Trek almost always uses makeup effects or practical effects on their aliens, and this one was CGI'd, but I was okay with that.
He's always on screen, so he wasn't.
Yeah, it was just on screen. So, anyway, I just love both the episodes. I love the concepts.
Because the aliens on the planet. Oh, I was going to interject. The aliens on the planet had prosthetics on.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going 5 too on these first 2 episodes, because I just couldn't imagine every time something there'd be like a call. I mean, they knew they were doing it, and they got me. They did it. They did it so well. So I'm looking forward. I gotta keep an eye on what Chad said too, to see how that develops.
I know.
What the con.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Is. So favorite scene. I think I just loved Uhura's character, especially in that second episode. Uhura's episode, and for a cadet, she has amazing presence of mind and strength of self. The stuff that she says to us who are, she says this to Pike and Spock, and we're going, You're talking to the icons of multiple generations. Have some humility. But she stands right up to him and says what she thinks and corrects him sometimes. So I just really liked her character and how that folded into the ending of episode 2.
Yeah, it was so rich. But Chad, I'm going to bring you up next, and I'm sure you're like me. You had the Mego action figures of all the Star Trek peoples, right?
Absolutely. Spock was my favorite.
Yep, and they fought along all the Planet of the Apes ones, and
Star Trek versus Planet of the Apes happened at my house every Saturday. But yeah, I have to give this a 5 too. This took me back to Star Trek greatness, I thought, and really paid tribute to the original series in a very loving way, and it was just amazing to see that and see it able to be presented in with the special effects presented in a better way than we had in the 60s TV show.
We hope, right?
Yeah. Well, it's so far it has. That brings me to my favorite scene was in the second episode when they said, well, what happens if we fire on them? And Ortega said something like, well, we better get the hell out of here as soon as we do, because this ship was outclasses the Enterprise. So what do? They shoot at it and decide to run and fix it from their point or from their side of things. Yeah. And that whole sequence was just, I was white knuckled watching that. It was just so great. I thought it really took me back to watching the old series. And it's fun to see the Enterprise kind of maneuver around.
Yeah,
it's not some superimposed. It actually looks like a starship.
Yeah, it did a little Top Gun, and it did a little Star Wars going through the
evasive maneuvers.
The Ortega thing was very Top Gun.
Yeah,
it was awesome. Did you give us a score? You said it was 5 for both?
5 for me, yeah. Ortegas is one of my favorite characters on there already.
Great.
Quickly, yes, definitely. Yeah. Okay, this is the way you bring a curmudgeon back into the Star Trek fold is to do this type of series. I love that the costuming feels retro, but yet it does feel slim and modern, right? It doesn't feel but yet it doesn't lose it either, right? It's really, I mean, there's a balance here that is almost perfectly achieved between what we can do now and what was presented to us then. And it doesn't feel separate, even though it looks improved, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the dialogue is wonderful. What was this like? I like that plan. Let's do it, right? Or what did he say? Like, all right, everybody, we got a plant to save before lunch. Let's get going, right? Or something like that. And it's like, I love the whimsical.
What does Pike say when he wants to? Like Picard said, engage. Pike's got his own term.
Yeah, what is it? I forget. What is it?
Hit it.
Hit it,
yeah.
Yes, hit it. So I'm thoroughly enjoying this, and I'm on board. And now that you've said a certain name and made a connection, now I can't wait to see where that goes.
We didn't pick up on that.
You blew my mind twice with this show, Chad.
Sorry, I know you can't afford to lose any more of it.
I know. And now you've set a precedent, right? You've set a precedent. You have to do this every episode that we cover.
Yeah.
So bring it, sir.
I'll say right now then I'm sorry to disappoint.
You will not. I assure you, you will bring something that will shock me. My favorite scene, there's so much. I really, what do I want to say? I kind of like the second episode even better than the first, just because I really loved learning more about her and the character, and I loved you can see that she's presented that she doesn't necessarily know if that's what she wants, even though she's one of the few that get chosen.
Yeah.
And of course that kind of rubs Spock the wrong way, but her arc in this is just so fantastic. And when she's in there singing to the big statue-y thing, whatever that egg-looking thing, and just that whole idea and watching her come alive as a character, right?
Yeah.
And find her calling and find who she is. And Spock, even though I kind of got the impression Spock knew what she needed to do, but he let her do it, right? That was my impression. I don't know if that's what they meant, but I could, because the way he always stands that way. But anyway, and I even like the way that she teased him about Nurse Chapel hitting on him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really like these characters and interactions, and I think that's what I really love about it. And of course, Pike has a really interesting way of dealing with aliens that he encounters, like you said, Jeff, with the first one, and then with this one, the second one with the guy on the screen. He's very, very comically diplomatic.
Yeah.
It's very good. It was a great show, and I can't believe I'm going to be sitting here watching Star Trek every week for the next 8 weeks. So go figure.
Yes.
It's gonna be great.
It's going to be good.
All right.
The first 2 episodes tell us anything. So
they're on a hot streak. That's not going to stop. All right. That is our review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, episodes 1 and 2. Dare I say we want to keep doing this?
Yeah.
Oh, there's claps.
Yeah.
Jeff.
I do.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I learned something.
Let's see what happens. I think I'm on board too. I am shocked and surprised to say that I am. But all right. Thank you for hanging out with us and enjoying this review. We hope you enjoy not only this one, many others that we have on the site. And of course, if you like it, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share with a friend. And of course, leave us some comments down below. What facts did we miss? I'm sure there's something, right? Jeff, Chad, Vanessa Chapel. Thank you so much for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
So much fun.
Thanks for having me.
Let's say good night.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, I knew that was going to happen.
Of course.
Good night.